it's 9:01, and I am going to call the June meeting of the Hugh Cargill Trust to order. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes from May 2015 and 2025. Thank you, Esther, for getting
Yeah,
this out.
Catherine read them very carefully and sent me a correction, which I corrected and sent everybody.
What was the thing? Because
The change was we didn't approve the treasurer's report, which I had said we had.
unanimously. Okay, thank you. And so we have that to review also. Thank you for sending out both April and May.
So for April, we talked about the HCT. We talked about it all last month. It just didn't have the disbursements for repairs.
Mhm. So other than that, it's all
It's the
accurate.
same, yeah.
So do we need to approve these minutes? I mean, the treasurer's report from April.
Can we do them both together?
Sure. Okay.
And for the next month, you'll see from the gifts and receipts in the lower left-hand corner, 71 for the Hugh Cargill Trust, 26 for property tax relief. The other major thing on there is the adjustment in the top chart to the HCT. That's the mailing cost, the 7,032. And that's really the only thing I would point out.
So my guess is that the number of receipts and gifts are high for the month, but low in terms of the annual appeal.
Right, which is the other donation summary.
Right.
So, any questions?
Okay, then, can I get a motion to approve both treasurer's reports for April and May?
So the
Okay, all in favor? Thank you so much. Okay, so, guess that we're in a big moment of transition. This is your last official meeting. You will be sorely missed here.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that you're here today to help us transition with our new member, Joe.
Well, I'll miss being here,
I'm sure.
very much so. I thoroughly enjoyed my 8 years.
It's a long time.
8, I loved it.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I know you'll still be out in town helping people in some way or another, no doubt. I think, Joe and I talked yesterday a little bit about some of the actual logistics of how your job gets done. And Shannon, you're a big part of this too. So we have to, I think for the first couple of rounds, Joe and I will work closely together to figure out how this gets done. So part of it is even, the email access. And just I guess one of my big questions, and Joe raised this yesterday as well, was just that when we ask people for documentation of their, what their request is, how do we actually get that and get it to you for payment if it all gets approved?
So I ask, when I talk to an applicant, I say, we need to have in advance of our meeting, a copy of the invoice, whatever it happens to be. And I have them email it to me directly, not to Shannon directly. Because what I've tried to do is make Shannon's job more streamlined so that she doesn't get many invoices through a month without knowing whether they're approved or not. It's just a lot of extra work for Shannon. So I have a form for each applicant and I attach the invoice, I printed actually. And I
You'll
have,
see, that implies that everybody is computer savvy and can scan invoices and.
well, if they can, so
Okay.
there are a lot of people who can't.
Okay,
So in that case, I contact the dentist or whoever that happens to be, and they email it to me, so I have it. I mean, I have to chase those sometimes, but it's not a problem. Because a lot of these people are elderly, they don't have computers, or they can't take a picture of something. So it's not a problem,
And so what percentage of people do you think you're tracking down the documentation?
maybe 50-50. I mean, it just depends on the age of the applicant, and that varies. It doesn't take time, but it takes following through, because sometimes they aren't very quick about doing it, and I always say I need it before the meeting. In the way back, before I started, they didn't do that, the intake person didn't ask in advance for that support document, but I just think it's important to have it, so,
But they would be responsible for providing it at some point.
yes,
Just,
yeah,
there wouldn't,
oh, definitely,
there wouldn't be the efficiency of having it in place so that it would just get
right.
paid once we approve it.
So one of the good things about having it in advance is after a meeting, I send Shannon and Catherine only the name, the amount approved, and the invoice. And I do that for all of them, so that and then it's sort of streamlined. Do you find that, Shannon? 'Cause I mean, I try to make it easier for you then. Yeah. And then she writes the checks and they get mail. And sometimes, there's great urgency about this, doing it immediately, because, everybody waits to the last minute to pay a bill, and they get interest, often applied, or penalties if they're late, so. And it's not that we're late, it's just that they have waited to the last minute to, say I'm desperate. So I try the same day or the next day to get everything out. And I also, when the meeting's over, I notify everybody immediately to reassure them, either by phone or email. That this is what we said yes to or no to, so. So that the day after is important.
You had a lot of questions about the process.
Yeah, I mean, this is, step 4 in the process, right? So just start at the beginning, and some of this is because I just, I'm clueless, right? So,
As our.
Right, I think it's absolutely, I think it's important that actually all of us hear this, so that the transitions can happen.
So I did give Joe a document on the way I went myself, because I thought that would be helpful just to know where I was coming from. But essentially what happens is, I get a phone call on,
let me start
town
way at the
phone
beginning, okay?
Phone
You're way ahead of me,
okay,
okay? I'm done, remember, So you personally get a phone call?
usually it's on the Hugh Cargill Trust line.
Okay, so I have to get access to that,
Oh, very much so.
okay?
Or I get it personally, because a lot of these people have been asking over the years. So they reach out to me personally, not as personal friend, but
Right.
because they
I
know.
apologize for interrupting. Do we have the other phone system set up yet?
No, I haven't had luck with IT. I think it's more complicated than we all thought was going to be.
So it sounds like there's no alternative than a personal call at this point.
No, there is,
Oh.
but it's what for the immediate, what it is, there's a town phone number. That you can receive voicemails from.
That's
So you're.
that's the 2030.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the roadblock right now is that when you call back, you would either, these are the options, call from your personal number, which is what Lucy was doing. You
Right.
don't have to do that. You can come in and make an appointment. Because also even right now, we have desks that people aren't sitting at. We have vacancies in the town right now, so you can come and make an appointment with me and use a phone here. Or you can call doing *67, which will make it restricted, but then you run the risk of them not answering the phone because it's a restricted network.
And there, when I was making the calls, there are a number of people who they don't accept it, you can't even leave a voicemail.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
And the
so
other thing is that they're not always home when you.
exactly, and that's always
Yeah.
a risk when you call back, is that they don't answer either, and then you're playing phone tag with a voicemail line.
But if the request comes in via email, can you follow up the whole process in email?
So when I get a phone call, not a personal one, but one through it actually shows up on my email, my Hugh Cargill Trust email. So I punch it and then I listen to the message.
Yeah.
And so I get the message, this is Joe Smith and I need this and this is when you can call me back and, it's never gonna be.
So this is how it would show up.
Yeah,
Can't we just?
So this is to my email address, but it comes in as like an MP3 attachment.
Okay,
And it also gives you the phone number for who it is. Sometimes it gives you their name, sometimes it doesn't. So it'll give you their phone number and then an MP3 that you can listen to the voicemail on.
so I need a town email.
You're gonna have the Hugh Cargill Trust email account, which is hctc@concordma.gov.
Is that something that you set
Yeah.
up and let me know?
Yeah, IT will get us all
Okay,
coordinated.
but back to
so I
the
also
phone,
get emails that,
right,
Yes,
but
so,
back to the phone call, so it
Right.
sounds like really there are only two options, which is to come in,
yes.
which feels kind of onerous in some ways, right, especially if you're away.
If you're away, for sure.
And then the second thing is personal call, right?
Yeah.
For
not
now,
only away, but if, you can't reach them until 7:30 at night. You don't wanna come in here at 7:30 at night to call back.
right,
But maybe we create restrictions where we say,
Yeah,
our business
right.
is done between,
During-
9 and 5, we don't
Yeah.
make phone calls at
During
7:30.
townhouse hours.
Right.
Right.
Right, and that's just.
Yeah, which I think makes perfect sense.
That's how
Yeah,
most businesses operate,
Yes.
like, it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
unreasonable to limit
yeah,
the hours that you're doing this work.
okay,
Lucy, I know you have like long relationships with a number of these people. Are they aware, if you had a chance to talk to people about there's gonna be a change?
I've told them, yes. So, but I mean, there are many that don't know because I haven't sought them out. But I mean, I know on Catherine's master list, I know
Yeah, a lot.
half of them, probably,
So as they call you on your personal line, you'll
Yeah.
let them know
of course.
to handle it by calling.
Oh, of course.
Because clearly there will be both a relationship change and it sounds like some process changes too.
Well, it will, because it will. So I even, just as an example, I did take some notes. I got some calls, this month from people who, wanted advice on household goods. How do we, and I said, we don't, that's not our, you can call them, this is the number. But a lot of them call me because I worked with them in the past, so I get a lot of calls like that about various things in town or what, how do I follow up and so, I don't want to pass that to you, so
Right.
call Joe.
so what happens so the email process, so
Yes.
you get an email
Right,
making a request,
right.
and you respond, can we respond?
I
with
do
the-
it through HCTC. I send a
Okay.
blind copy to my personal account so that I also have it. Because it's easier to print things out from you don't have to do that, but I put a blind copy to me. What was I gonna say about that? And probably maybe half come through Council on Aging. A few come from Bonnie Wilbur, not very many, very few, directly from her. I think she's got so much work. And so here's the big thing. A lot of the people who came initially through Bonnie or that I referred to Bonnie. When they come back, I don't say, have you gone back to Bonnie? Because she just says, please don't do that. I've already talked to them, a year ago. I mean, we have to respect her time, her professional time. It's very challenging. COA is very good. They have several social workers. And I've asked them when they send me an email to just use the initials, please, in the address line, so I know who they're talking about, because, we have a lot of communication, and then I don't have to search back constantly when it says, would you look after this senior, which senior? So I've tried to make it as streamlined and obvious to make my life easier and to make Shannon's.
So the Council on Aging contacts you directly rather than
Yes.
sending the client to,
Well, both. Both. And seniors, I say, have you talked to Council on Aging? Oh, yes, but not recently. But, a number of them are repeat, people. So they don't, sometimes the social workers follow up, sometimes they don't. But
So if a request is coming in through the COA. Or Bonnie, in the past, we've said that for the most part, we should assume that they've been vetted. Or that the request has been vetted for the most part, and that our role is to just. Make sure that they are, a resident, that they have not maxed out the annual amount of awards. And that it's for something that's appropriate within our, kind of purview and sustainable. Right, and that's kind of like, once we've done that, we've concluded that we're basically saying, okay, we're done.
right, but they'll say, for example, next month, there's a senior who needs help with yard work to get safe access to his back door. So already there's conversation with the social worker and with the applicant. So it's not as cut and dried as you might imagine. Bonnie says, they can be they're interested in helping this. But then to get the details takes a little, they don't say, here's the bill, this is what it's for, we've approved. They don't go to that length. They say needs help with utilities. So in the case of utilities, I get those bills myself because I want to make sure that they're the most up to date. They may have a bill from April. They say, it's overdue and I'm worried about being cut off. So at the end, just before our meetings, I go, and we didn't have any this month, but I email CMLP and I say, here are the people and their addresses, could you send me the most up-to-date statements? So that when I come to the meeting, I have the most up-to-date statements and not the April. And applicants don't know to do that. They just don't.
so do you have
And I write Concord Utilities.
do you have a contact at CMLP?
I do, but if you write Concord Utilities, they all read it, different people respond, but it's really well done now. In the past, there was a lot of difficulty, but.
And when you say you write Concord Utilities, what is that, on an email to someone?
An email,
Yeah.
I just say.
It's
Concord-
it's a distribution
Okay.
list, receives the email, so it's not just one person.
Right,
So it's the same with me when I send the checks that could be for a CMLP bill. I put the attention as CMLP customer service because they have many representatives now that just understands how to work on it.
and they're all known well, they feel. When I hear from them back, hi, Lucy, here are the things. And then when I get home from this meeting, I email them and I say, these were the ones that were approved, and they Donna DeGray, and they write back, thank you so much, we were so glad to hear immediately, and it's sort of that kind of communication,
So
which
can
you don't
get
have
me
to
that
do.
email?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to do it that way, but it just, I think informing people immediately is really important, and also where bills are overdue, so that, people are not cut off.
So Liz, is your plan like for a month or so to work together or maybe longer? I mean, it feels, I'm feeling very empathetic to have this all done.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
very
fine.
happy to do anything to help, you know.
I think you're gonna need to, because
Yeah,
there are so many
it's too
different
much.
little,
There's a lot of
Just
little,
utilities are confident.
it's always
You
been.
send that to me?
I think actually, Shannon and Joe, that you should be sitting down, and, like, you know, at some point to like talk about like all of the ways that you're gonna be sharing information, communicating, getting Joe into the email and phones and stuff.
Sure, it's not gonna be me, it's gonna be IT, I don't have access to any of it either, so.
So I had a training session at IT twice, as I mentioned, with that nice person. I don't know if he's still with it, AJ. And I have a password and everything, which I never use, but it was very complicated setting it up. So I think working closely side by side with
Yeah.
whomever is
Yeah.
in charge of that will make a big difference.
So we should get Joe access to the email really soon, so that you can start checking for the requests that are coming in. On the phone link as well, and then maybe as they come in. Reach out to Lucy and me, copy on that, so that I can work with you then,
Only one person is gonna be able to have access to the email.
which should be Joe. But you can share.
We need to the HCTC,
Yes.
yeah.
So Joe, as you sit and listen to this, are you thinking I'm gonna run out the door now?
Yes. That's right.
It's,
There's a lot of, I just wanna have us, as I'm asking Shannon questions, you can tell, I just wanna make sure all the steps are in place. I mean, I'm, realizing I have a long way to go here, but, I don't wanna miss,
you'll have people
Yeah.
helping you.
the
It's,
details of the steps. Right?
it's sort of, the way I would describe it, it's sort of an ongoing through the month. It's not a Monday job or a Friday job, it's, you have to respond to people. So, even if we say, these are our hours, whatever, it's the human, that's what we're dealing with, human beings who are in trouble. So we have to be able to talk to them and, I would say we'll do our best. And so there's the human, that's part of the whole job and the mission that we're in. It's helping people. Not just it's not just paperwork processing. We get this, we send that, done. It's much more.
I get it. I know the personal part. I don't know the other part.
I know.
Right? So that's what's.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out together.
Yeah.
So, but I think the next big thing is getting the phone number and getting the email account and switch to your. Shannon, is the email part also through IT?
Yeah,
And is there an IT person I can connect with and see if I can?
I'm doing it.
Okay.
Is it still AJ?
There's several people in
Right.
IT, AJ is still there, but it could be
Anyway,
any.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for now, or can we?
No, my head's spinning enough.
We'll figure it out together,
Yeah.
right? We're all in this. Thank you, and yeah, we'll be calling you a lot.
so what should I do right now? So, I mean, after this meeting, I'm gonna do what I normally do, is let everybody know.
Follow.
Yeah, and then what happens, like tomorrow, new people? Or are you taking my name off the?
This is gonna move at the speed that IT moves at,
Okay,
which I don't know if it's gonna be tomorrow or if it's gonna be later this week.
okay.
I generally think they respond to requests pretty quickly, so I think it will be
Yeah.
soon.
Okay,
But I think they may need to contact you to say. I have no idea how they're gonna do this, so I don't even know if it's worth me
yeah,
talking about it. I don't know if they need the password to then reset it and then get it to Joe, or if, because they're admins, if they can just kick you off the account tomorrow, I don't know. we'll figure it out.
I guess you'll find out if you. get your-
Lucy, I'll be in touch.
Right,
Go out and work in the fields,
Yeah.
the phones don't work out there.
right, you'll find out what happens tomorrow when you try to log. in,
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I don't try to log in, but you know, it just
right, but, all right.
comes at me.
We'll figure it out. Okay, so, an update to the annual appeal.
So, I sent everyone the donation summary, and just as a high level. What the committee has done is every 3 years, they do a townwide mailing. So they did a townwide mailing in, December of 2021. And we did it again in just this April. In between, we send out to people who have donated over the last year or two. So those are smaller mailings, less expensive, and they're targeted, and they get really good responses. So that gives you an overview to kind of think about how the money comes in. And this spring, it's kind of a bust. We sent to the whole town. I think people just weren't expecting, wasn't a normal mailing. Maybe they just took out. They might have just pulled out the little brochure. I mean, we got that brochure into everyone's hands, but people did not respond, as you can see in the same numbers.
Looks like 2022.
22, no,
Banner year.
2023. 2022, because that's the year that they sent out to the whole town.
Mhm. And
And COVID
it's
was,
still COVID.
COVID was still around, maybe.
Yeah.
I know lots of organizations got
Mhm.
big bumps in donations during the COVID period.
But the next 2 years, we had the targeted mailing, not all the town, 2023 and 2024.
Mhm.
Huge difference.
Yeah,
And is that what it's been historically, around 50,000, or is that not? We don't know.
this is the only, this is as far back as I could go. I'm not, I could, but it would take a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
More years.
So does this put us in a precarious situation?
Well, the precarious, we have enough, the Hugh Cargill Trust has quite a bit of money, and last year we didn't even ask for the distribution from the trustees of donations from the town. The issue is going to be the tax relief. I think we'll get through this year, but then I don't know if we'll have to do the following year.
Going back to the other one, the main donations, what's interesting is how many came in, so there's more.
So, yeah, this,
donation came in.
I see.
Right, 88 versus 77, but far lower numbers.
88 versus, oh, I don't have the, yeah, lower numbers than,
Right, like more people contributing, but lower amounts of donations, right?
right, except we do get a couple big checks that come, kind of off. So you'll see in 2024, we got $20,000. And maybe 20,000 was one person. I forget.
They're the same donors, they make a big donation every year.
Yeah, so they did 17 the year before. I think they're the ones that did 17,000 in
Yeah.
August of 23.
Hmm.
So that may still come in. But it is a bust compared to our previous townwide mailing.
We thought it was a good idea, wrong again.
Lesson learned. Don't do it in April.
Don't change what,
Yeah,
it's not working, so.
I mean, I, from a kind of a donor perspective, I appreciated not having the pile, which I also tend to ignore in November because there's just too many. So, I liked the idea, but it didn't, I guess
I wonder whether it was part of these Aprils when taxes were due.
Oh, that's true.
and that might have been why the correspondent who said he was.
Just like, oh my God, I have to pay the taxes.
Right, like so tone deaf your, request, so. Yeah, the timing could have been bad, but the timing was based on just everything going
you
on.
pay taxes in January too.
But federal.
The fourth-
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
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 So there were real estate taxes due in April as well as income taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really thinking the income tax.
Yeah,
I think it's back to, right, taxes that aren't they May 1st, maybe, I think May 1st was like, whatever, sorry. So we won't do that again. Right.
And I think we'll have to do doubly targeted mailing in the fall.
So targeting people who've been previous donors.
Previous donors that didn't donate in this round.
It makes sense.
And is that easy to figure out, targeting it? Without-
It'll take some work to filter out who already donated.
But we can.
Yeah. We have the records, yeah.
Mhm. Is there a possibility of not doing, well, of thinking about when we want to do that in the fall, like, you know, to avoid that November? You know,
I think go back to November after seeing this, but
No, I just do November.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's when people expect it.
yeah.
I do,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we'll try that. So the tax relief money. that you're
Yeah, so
saying-
this isn't labeled, HCT is the top, I
Mhm.
should label what it is.
And I brought this up last time, I know this is a longer, semi-longer term question about, but being able for people that have donor advised funds to be able to give that way, because those tend to be bigger dollars, right? I don't know, that's something, there was something, maybe it was Wendy who said, yeah, we need to work on that, so it's gonna take some time.
No, a lot of people can already donate through their donor advised funds.
I think those big checks come in from.
I know you can from Fidelity, I think Charles Schwab, and I know others like those are the two that come to mind off the top of my head.
I couldn't through Vanguard, so there was nothing for.
Sure. Yeah, that is not something. I don't know how we would add that, I would think it's probably a request from our treasurer's office. To be able to add to a different donor advised fund. But what Wendy was talking about was tying our funds into the town's accounting system.
So it's a different issue.
That's a different issue, but the way I've seen other people, it's not Hugh Cargill Trust listed, it's Town of Concord listed.
Right.
And then in your memo, you can put Hugh Cargill Trust Committee.
So I mean, I'm happy to
Yeah,
take this on and just to talk to somebody.
I would reach out to our deputy treasurer collector, her name is Colleen, I can send you her contact info too. Because I think that it would probably come from our treasurer's office to be able to add to a different.
Yeah, and if they've done it with Fidelity and Schwab.
Yeah, I know, I
I'm sure
know
the
I've
process is the
received
same.
others, yeah.
Okay, great.
I did get calls about this myself. How do we do this?
And I think. Maybe on the website, we can put, if you're using a donor advised fund, look for Town of Concord, not. You know. Hugh Cargill Trust Committee, Hugh Cargill Trust
Right.
Committee is
That's
not
a-
going to be listed,
that's a
it will
great
be
idea,
Town
just-
of Concord.
Yeah.
And then in your memo, put,
Yeah, that's a great idea,
Hugh Cargill.
it just pings people, right?
Yeah.
That There's,
So I'm in the Fidelity giving account right now, and you can go to the town, you can give to the Town of Concord, but I guess there's no specifying that it's, Hugh Cargill.
if you went further in the process, would you be able to put in your memo, yes?
probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
think.
where.
And that's what I've seen other people do, I know, I'm positive
Yeah.
I've received checks from Fidelity.
Yeah.
I know Vanguard has a note section.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
something like that, yeah,
Yes.
because it will come with a letter attached to the check that has the donor's address and it will say.
Yeah.
I've seen tax relief and Hugh Cargill Trust Committee.
Yeah, so we'll have to be very specific, but, we can do that on the future mailings, this, I think it would
That's
help.
important, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cause those are bigger dollars too.
Yeah, there's a minimum that I can grant from this.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, in the community. bigger
Sure.
Yeah,
dollars
absolutely.
Representing.
yeah, okay, great. All right, anything else on the property tax or anything?
Oh,
On the property tax, there were 2 new applicants and both of them meet our requirements.
And for Joe's So can you explain the requirements?
Is it on the website somewhere?
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
property value of 1.1 or something like that, and then people, just, they say what their annual income limit, and they self-report their annual income, we
Yeah.
don't check into their annual income.
Yeah, I think it's a single owner, head of household or joint. Owners are like the different
Different levels,
income
yeah.
brackets. But that's it.
So lots of calls about that.
So we have to,
Yeah.
check through those, the two new applicants.
And there's a limit on the amount, is it 400, is that? $400.
For this
Or-
year, we said we were increasing it to 425
Per quarter.
per
Per
quarter.
quarter, and, but the year after, I don't know. We don't get donations to that, and I think it would be hard to justify doing property tax relief from the Hugh Cargill Trust, just because of.
We've moved funds from,
Hugh Cargill to.
yeah,
property tax.
I'm 100% sure we've done that before.
I think so. Not in the 6 years I've been here.
I'm pretty
From
sure.
the trustee, from the Hugh Cargill to that?
From the Hugh Cargill fund to the tax relief fund.
Okay.
So if we have more than we can afford to pay out, we can take it from.
Because it's all one account.
Well, right, we could do that, but are they for different purposes? One is the selectmen's appeal.
I think that, this was when Elizabeth was chair, and I think that Wendy also discussed this and said that she thinks you're able to do that.
Do we need to confirm that?
I personally don't think so, it's all one account.
All right, that's great. We could potentially increase it next year if there's demand or the way it's going.
Continue, we could continue to pay it if we think that if people, I'm just thinking of from the donor's point of view, to Hugh Cargill Trust, is that, maybe you don't see any difference between them, but I don't know how contentious property taxes are gonna become.
We may never know, probably, but there is sort of an ethical question that you're raising.
Yeah,
And if you think
right.
you're giving money to this, and
This,
it's
yes.
used that way.
Yes.
So-
But Hugh Cargill, you could use to do property tax relief.
But.
Right, Isn't Hugh Cargill supposed to be for any request of a financial assistance?
That.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know really how different it is from paying your utilities or rent, you know, it's about like being able to maintain your home.
Right.
So, and, you know, so I think it can be justified. Okay, so, do I have a motion to approve the new applicants for tax relief? So.
Second.
Right,
All right, thank you. All right, the next item on here was the remote phone line, but we kind of touched on that, Catherine had the idea, Shannon, of maybe we get a burner phone if the.
Just get a, yeah. That you.
Yeah, it could be easier to do
It has a
that.
phone number.
And those usually are just a set cost with a set amount of time on it, which probably might be adequate, I guess you buy more time, right?
Just get the cheapest.
so you can carry it around with you.
Oh, you can leave it in a box at home.
I've used it for other things now.
The secret life, we don't know about.
So that would let you not have to use your own personal number.
Right,
So I need to have that number because all these people are still going to be calling me.
Well, I mean, for now, I think you can always send them to the other phone number. You send them to the U Cargill number. It's just a matter of using this other line for returning calls, not
Right,
receiving
okay.
calls.
so for,
Okay.
Yeah, just for returning calls. So you can avoid your. So can that be something that's looked into, Shannon, as you follow up with IT about the Zoom line? As an alternative, whether there's any issues with that? I guess we'd have to just be encouraged.
I think that this would not be tied with IT at all, would be their
Yeah, how do
response.
you access this, your phone line when you're out? You do it from your cell, right?
Me, yeah, that's right. So I don't, if you want to go the route of just, yeah, like getting a whole separate cheapest cell phone, that will not be tied with the town at all.
Do you have a preference? I mean, since this is on you, what feels easiest?
It seems like a good idea. Yeah, yeah. Never having used a burner phone, but, I mean, I understand the
We can
concept.
call it something else.
Yeah, no, I understand. I
What
understand.
it would look like.
Oh, it sounds James Bondish.
Yeah, yeah.
Drug dealer.
Scary.
I just wanna see what it says, like, I don't even know where you buy them.
I don't either.
I have, but that's good to know.
Come on, somebody does.
I mean, I think you could probably
You
just.
see them
Amazon,
advertised everywhere.
Yeah, right, like you could just go to a cell phone store and say, I want to get a phone with
You go to Walmart. I
minutes,
think you
yeah,
buy it
like
from
you just
Walmart.
wanna get it with minutes.
Right. In the online definition, it's a cheap prepaid mobile phone that the owner doesn't intend to use long term. These phones traditionally are purchased with cash to avoid any kind of paper trail that would tie the phone to the individual.
But I'm sure we can just Google how the best, cheapest, best, non-smart.
Boost Mobile, $25 a month for.
So when you get picked up, Joe, they're gonna say, this guy has a burner phone. What's he
Yeah.
trying to do? Who's he trying to help out there in the world? This is not good.
And there's no issue with that. I mean, the town obviously has no access to that, or it's not recorded, or is that, that's not an issue, okay?
So are we suggesting that you would just go do it and then somehow submit the bill?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
we would pay,
Yeah. And how, realize it's not my problem, but how do you submit, to whom does the bill get submitted? To Shannon?
Yeah, I mean, we would have to talk about this more because it's like, we have a checkbook for funds. So we could just write,
twice a year.
yeah, I mean,
Writing a check
we
or
wouldn't be able to pay, like, people pay bills online, like, we wouldn't be able to do that. But like,
I think it's
we,
reimbursed.
We'll figure it out, once they figure out what.
yeah, like, we could write a check to who is paying the bill. But I think, like, I mean, just personally, I think that's a little dicey.
Also sounds like a lot of work.
A little dicey for,
Well, like, how are you gonna continue using this, like, when Lucy comes off the committee, when Joe comes off the committee, how you'll just cancel it?
cancel it and
Okay.
someone else get it. I just don't think you should have your personal phone
Yeah.
involved in this, and it sounds like through the town, that's not gonna easily work.
It
So-
could, but there just also was truly no capacity before town meeting to look into this. Our CIO, quit right before town meeting. So, yeah, I shouldn't say quit, but she had personal things going on and she like put in 2 weeks' notice, which is unusual for someone in her position, and there she went, and then it was, he's now the CMLP director, Jason Bolger, who was the CIO before, he is trying to do both. So there just was no capacity to look into this before then. He asked me some follow-up questions at the end of last week and I responded to them, but I haven't heard back yet. So we haven't gotten a no. It's just not a yes yet.
It seems like in the long term, having that line is a better option.
I think so. If it works, I think that's the better option.
Right.
Because it, like this email account, we could continue using it.
Right. So then should I hold off on doing anything else until, we get a little bit more clarity from the town?
Except that what's he doing in the meantime?
You
You can come
You
here.
do the,
6,
you do the, you know, the not great solution of calling, you know, from the town line.
Yeah.
Or using the.
Yeah, it
677.
may not be practical for me, so I'll get a,
So here's
Phone.
something. I mean, I'm gonna continue to get calls. And I can send an email to you on the HCTC. Email. And refer whatever and tell these people. To contact HCTC and I'll give them your name.
I mean, also like, put it this way, if you're not able to come in ever,
it's not ever, just.
yeah. But like, if it's for this month, I'll just call people back, like,
No, let me get into it, because otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
This is a way of figuring it out, right? If you keep doing it, I'll just let you figure it out.
yeah.
I probably asked you this before because I'm apologizing. How many phone calls here are we talking about? Yeah,
Well, they're probably more closer to the meeting and after the meeting. And then they're kind of interspersed through the month.
so a total of 20, a total of 200?
Oh, no, oh, heavens no. No, maybe 30 over the month. I mean, realistically.
Yeah.
And some people I mean, I tell them to go away. I don't say go away, but you know. I get the call and I go with it.
What's an example that you know of, you know right
Well, the
away?
people that call, not for advice, but they do because they think we know everything. Since we deal with all these different issues. I mean, I'm helpful to them. I don't say, sorry, this is not what we do.
Yeah.
I just don't feel that's the right thing to do. So,
But they don't make it on for the request, they're not asking
No.
for money.
you know,
Okay,
So on the, there is a resource list that's attached to the report that we're gonna go over next in executive session. In that resource list, you would be
Yeah.
able to see some of the different places to send people on to.
and I do that, but they still have questions, you know.
Sure. But it isn't our role necessarily to solve those problems and.
No, I'm not trying to solve them, I'm just trying to help
Be
people.
nice, that's great, that's all good, but,
That's what we're here for.
yeah, no, that's all important, I'm just trying to, you know. Minimize expectations around it, you know, reducing, you know, expectations around our role in that.
And we don't want Joe to quit before he starts.
That's right, or any of us, we wanna have, you know, we wanna be able to move this job around.
It's so
I
easy.
think by default it's gonna happen, because I don't know what you know,
Right, right.
right?
Well, I think you and I will be in touch over a lot of these people going forward, just so if you have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna be a work in progress. So next, I just wanna see who's around for our next meeting, which is Tuesday, July 8th. I'll be calling in from that, for that one.
As will I.
Be away.
Will you be able to call in? Hydra?
Depends on how many house guests we have, I don't know.
I understand. What about you, Catherine? Are you available?
I may or may not be, I mean, I'm available, but I don't know if I'll be here or.
Maybe we just do it all hybrid then, because at
All
least.
on Zoom, you
All on
mean?
Zoom, yeah, excuse me, all on Zoom only for the 8th and hope that. We have a quorum, I don't know what Kristen's availability is.
I think Kristen said that this was the only month she could not attend, she said she was too busy at work.
Right, but yeah, but let's at least acknowledge that Zoom only
Yes.
is the right thing for next month.
And would you like me to be the, stand back and still attend, so that if you have questions about this, or?
You know, it'd be interesting, because we'll be in executive session for some of it, so,
Right.
and you would be an outsider for that,
Right,
so.
You're not supposed to
Right.
do that.
Right, so you could certainly be sitting in on the first part of the meeting, but you would not be able to attend executive session.
so if there are issues related to, executive session issues, not with the individuals,
Mhm.
but I would at least be able to say, if needed. I don't need to do this. I'm just saying,
I think he would have, Joe, they would discuss it before,
yeah. So
you may have the day off.
we have a busy life between that, I do, between now and then, so.
well, which is good, so,
Well, I mean, it's not all good, so, yeah.
yes,
We
But
we do our best.
we'll do our best, I think we'll
Yeah.
manage, I think, you know, like any other citizen, you'd be
Yeah.
welcome to participate in the first part of the meeting.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Are these, is this part recorded? I don't-
This is, yeah.
Yes, which is very helpful for minutes and
Yeah.
such.
Yeah.
Okay, and then our meeting after that, which is August 12th, are people familiar with their calendars at this point? Cause that might also benefit from being
Go away.
Zoom only.
Yeah, I'll be away.
I think it makes sense to me, the Zoom meetings in
In the summer, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
so, I think so, 'cause if I'm lucky, I'm not very,
So July and August, we'll say things.
Zoom only.
Okay.
Okay, great. So is there any other business anybody has for the main part of the meeting? If not, then I have a motion to,
I move that we adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing individuals or families seeking assistance, the disclosure of which would be a violation of privacy.
all in favor?
Uh,
All right, thank you.